Dear Mr. Chairman, Ambassador Li Teho, dear Deputy Director General Xiangchen Zhang, dear members of the Working Party, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me an immense pleasure to participate at the 5th Working Party meeting on Uzbekistan's accession to the World Trade Organization. Taking this opportunity, I would like to express sincere gratitude to the WTO Secretariat, its accession division, for the comprehensive assistance provided to Uzbekistan, as well as for organizing today's event for the first time in almost 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 5 years, under the leadership of the President of Uzbekistan, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, our country has been undertaking large-scale political, social, and economic reforms. First, concrete and decisive measures were implemented to introduce market-based principles in Uzbekistan. These reforms contributed to the creation of favorable conditions for foreign investors and local business community, including introduction of free currency convertibility, removal of restrictions on repatriation of profits, and reducing custom duties on imported goods. Second, for the first time since we achieved our independence 30 years ago, poverty eradication became one of the main priorities of our development program. Due to actions undertaken in this area in the last few years, more than 500,000 families were lifted out of poverty. We set a clear goal to continue our systemic work and reduce the level of poverty in the country by at least 2 times by 2026. Third, making Uzbekistan a free country governed by the rule of law and justice, as well as building an independent and strong judiciary system and fight against corruption are in our list of top priorities. 2 years ago, Uzbekistan adopted a national human rights strategy and for the first time was elected as a member of the United Nations Human Rights Council. We will continue to build a country with a strong civil society. Fourth, we have completely eliminated forced labor. This success was recognized not only by foreign governments and international labor organizations, but also by Cotton Campaign coalition of NGOs and international brands. Dear participants, Uzbekistan will continue its irreversible development along the path of reforms. Earlier this year, we have adopted a new Uzbekistan development strategy covering period from 2022 to 2026. It is notable that one of the main priorities of our new strategy is actually accession of Uzbekistan to WTO. For the last several years, we have undertaken concrete measures to accelerate our accession process. After a 15-year break, despite all the challenges of the pandemic, we have successfully conducted the 4th Working Party meeting in 2020. Starting from the last year, we have launched bilateral negotiations with WTO member states and already held consultations with more than 35 countries. In order to further intensify interaction with the WTO Secretariat, a detailed roadmap for 2022 was adopted, which includes organization of a number of working group meetings and regular bilateral negotiations with more than 40 member states. We want to take practical steps towards our succession. Dear colleagues, it is important to note that our economic development, as well as accession process to WTO, are currently complicated by a number of external factors, among which are negative consequences of pandemic, as well as new geopolitical risks in the region. They cause more supply chain disruptions and increase the cost of production, given the fact that Uzbekistan is one of only 2 double landlocked countries in the world. In such a situation, we want to rely on member countries' practical understanding of our position and hope for very substantive negotiations to be held during this Working Party meeting. My country's 35 million population, out of which more than 60% are young people, wants to live in a country with an open market economy and free trade, which is fully integrated into the world economic system. Dear participants of Working Party meeting, today you can have open discussions with highly ranked members of the delegation from Uzbekistan, which includes more than 20 members of the negotiations group, headed by the chief negotiator, Deputy Minister of Investments and Foreign Trade, Mr. Badreddin Abidov. Our negotiation team is ready for healthy compromises and constructive work with both WTO Secretariat and Member States on all the issues that may be raised during discussions and negotiations. Our negotiators have all the powers to act, discuss and solve. They have a very clear instruction from Uzbek government to make a significant progress along the path of our accession to WTO during this Working Party meeting. We are fully committed to even more intensify our efforts on accession and intend to organize the next Working Party meeting in the second half of this year. We hope for your support of our intentions. In conclusion, I want to one more time thank WTO Secretariat and Member States representatives for cooperation and wish all the participants of today's Working Party meeting successful work and practical results. Thank you very much for your attention.